Hello everyone, this is a video for class 8. We are starting with our next chapter, that is struggle for swaraj. Okay, now before starting this chapter I want to say that India has gone through many types of revolts and movements that helped it to get the swaraj. What do we mean by swaraj? Swaraj is something that we can say as independence, which was not in our hands when we entered into the post medieval period. Okay, now here it is, starting with the partition of Bengal in 1905, when the Britishers thought, or we can say Britishers decided that the Bengal should be divided into two parts, the west and the east, because they think that, and they thought that if the Bengal will be divided, then they will get a easy way to control India, whereas they मेड ए प्रिटेम्पशन, मतलब उन लोगों ने इंडियंस को समझाया कि बंगाल को डिवाइड करने का कारण यही है दैट इट्स अ बिग एरिया एंड इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर देम टू कंट्रोल द होल of the Bengal in one hand. That's why they are dividing it into two parts. One is the western part and it's the eastern part. Now the western is dominated by the Muslims, eastern is dominated by the Hindus and the western is dominated by the Muslims. Apart from this, anti-partition movement was also organized against this partition in Calcutta in August 1905, whereas on October 1905, 16th October 1905, the day of partition was observed in Bengal. Bengal got divided into two parts, whereas the people from the different places started to symbolize unity between them with tying rakhis to one another's wrist. Then we're coming to the Swadeshi and the boycott movement. What do we mean by Swadeshi movement? At that time, Swadeshi movement was a one type of weapon that has been used by the nationalist. Okay, now in this Swadeshi movement, it has been said that all the products should be made in India, and those products will be only used by the people, whereas boycotting of the goods of the foreign land is very much necessary because it will give rise to the Indian industries, and as well as it will give a power to the Indians to hold upon their economy, which is the most important part for the Britishers to control. Like, what we can say, to control one country, it's very important to control its economic values, and for India, economic values is its industrial sectors, and for this the Britishers thought that if the Indians were forced to use the British goods and companies, British goods, then they will be having a power to control India. But this was opposed. Okay. Now, splitting of the Congress. Now, during this time, the Indians were divided into two parts. The nationalists are divided into two parts. One is the extremists and one is the moderates. This two part of Indian National Congress were opposed or has a different opinion regarding their movements that they will make against the British company. The moderates thought that it is very easy, it is very important to take what they want with the help of petitions, or they can, what do we say, with the march and all those. Whereas the extremists thought that no, they have to get a complete swaraj, and as well as they need their own representative as the president, whereas the moderates also needed their president. That's why they split it in the Surat session, that is on 1907. Okay. Now, here we have the formation of the Muslim League. This splitting of the Congress led to the formation of the Muslim League, that is a Muslim association, which is the main reason, or we can say the consequence of partition of Bengal is the formation of the Muslim League, where they tried where the communities Muslim communities wanted their own representatives. Okay, they also argued that they need their own representative for the council. They tried to create hatred between the two communities. Britishers were taking the opportunity of these. They tried to concentrate on this, and they said that the members of this Muslim League must be from all the sections of the society, whereas they are only focusing on the upper section of the Muslims. Okay. Now they also said that the National Congress is a type of Hinduism, following Hinduism, whereas it's not so. They also, what we can say, what they are sowing the seed of what we can say a separation between them. Okay. That is a result. In 1906, the All India Muslim League was formed in Dhaka under the leadership of Aga Khan and Nawab Salimullah. Now we are coming to the Minto-Morley reform. To suppress this Swaraj, the Britishers decided to have cooperation. In that, they make act that is known as Government of Indian Act, that is first Government of Indian Act in 1909, and also known as Morley Minto reform. In that, that is a Central Legislative Council has been raised from the members of the Central Legislative Council has been raised from 69 to 269, where 27 members are to be elected. Okay. At this rejection of the separation of separate electorates were also for the Muslims were also been made. And after that, we have the provincial legislative council was increased to 50. मतलब जो provincial what do we say, within the states that we are having, and that is also been raised, the state legislative assembly that we can say, it's been raised, the member is raised up to 50. And we have some municipal committees and all the district boards, they are also been elected. Some of the members will be elected for that. Sir S.P. Sinha was the first Indian member of the council, and he was appointed as a member of the Viceroy Executive Council. After that, we will come to the nationalist movement that was started during the World War. World War was started in 1914, and it continued for 4 years, that is up to 1918. The Britishers declared that they are fighting for the freedom and democracy and the human rights, but it's not so. This started a sense of nationalism between the people, and they are all started a revolt for their self-government. Now coming to the Lucknow Pact. In Lucknow Pact, what happened? The Muslim leagues were against this policy, that is against the policy of Lucknow Pact, in which it was 1 minute, in which they declared a war against the Turkey. And we know that Turkey is a Muslim Muslim country, and it is the regional place for the Muslim saint Khalifa, who is the leader of religion leader of the Muslims. That's why this act somehow or the other divided the Britishers from the Muslims, and the Muslims tried to come closer to the nationalists, or we can say that to Hindus. The Lucknow Pact of the Lucknow session, this Lucknow session got to make a reunion of the Congress, that is the extremists and the moderates. It is possible by the effort of the Annie Besant and Lokmanya Tilak. By this pact, national unity came into a movement. Now coming to the Home Rule League, that is started in 1915 and it continued to 1916. In this, what happened in Home Rule League, what is going to happen, that they wanted to have a complete Swaraj. Okay, and it started in April 1916. In the September of that same year, with the same name started in Madras. That is, first it started in Pune, then in Madras with the help of Annie Besant, and both this league were both this league were in both the places are going in the same pace. Pandit Nehru and what we have Deshbandhu Chitra Chittaranjan Das, sorry, Deshbandhu Chittaranjan Das also supported this movement. Annie Besant started her two newspapers, that is New India and Commonwealth, okay, to spread this idea. Now coming to emergence of Gandhiji was born on 2nd October 1869 at Peshawar in Gujarat. He was very much an activist, we can say, as an activist who went to England to form his education. He went to South Africa as a lawyer, where he was struggling for the right of the human people against the South African government. He raised his voice against the racial discrimination in South Africa. Some of these struggles evolved the concept of Satyagraha. What do you mean? Satyagraha means that is the revolt that is based on truth and non-violence. Okay. After completing his tasks in Africa, he came back to India in 1915, where in Champaran district he also fought for the indigo cultivators who were suppressed and were forced to sell the product at the fixed rate by the Europeans, that is at the lower rate. Gandhiji also visited the Champaran district in 1917, where he raised the voice against the government, who was forced to raise the price of it. Okay. Now, in 1918, Gandhiji protested against the textile mill owners, that is in the state of Kheda. Okay, that is in the state of Kheda, where the peoples were forced to work in the textile mills with lower wages. He also wanted to raise the wage. After the First World War, Gandhiji involved the and that is a freedom struggle. He entered into the freedom struggle. Gandhiji advocated this method of non-cooperation, in which he requested the Indians of all the ages to boycott of all creed, color, and to boycott the government, colleges, courts, schools, and all the institutions. Satyagraha was one of another tool for this, to use the khadi for the upliftment of the rural mass, and so he adopted charkha as a symbol of his non-violence movement, and Gandhiji also adopted the Hindu-Muslim unity. Now we are coming to the British policies after the war. What are the British policies? There are some of the British policies, such as the Chelmsford reform, Montague-Chelmsford reform. In this First World War, after the First World War, this act came into existence. That is also known as the Indian Act of 1919. Okay. Here, Lord Monterey and Viceroy Chelmsford made what we can say a provision that the central government, that the central legislative assembly should be bicameral, that is have two parts. One is the imperial legislative council, and the other is the state, and that is the council of state. In the imperial legislative council, there will be 144 members, out of which the 41 members will be elected by the government, whereas the central council of state will be consisting of 69 members, out of which 26 members will be nominated and the rest will be elected. The system of dual government was introduced in the provinces also. The provinces were also having two types of government, in which the two type of list has been observed, that is, one is the registered and other is the reserved. One is the reserved and one is the transferred. In the reserved, for all the economic activities has been done which are to be controlled by the British government, whereas on the other side, which are non transferable, that is matters related to the public health, and we can say education and all those things, that has been taken under the government of the state. Okay. Now we have Rowlatt Act. In the Rowlatt Act of 1919, it was been said that the British government is been allowed to arrest any of the Indian person without any arrest warrant. okay, which made us which started a sense of, what we can say, a sense of discontinuity, or we can say discontentment between the peoples of India. They started to revolt against this, and the day of 6th April 1919 was taken as a national humiliation day. Now, Jallianwala Bagh message. After this Rowlatt Act, one movement took place, that is the Jallianwala Bagh message, in which Dr. Saifuddin Kitchley and Dr. Satyapal was arrested in Punjab because they were against the Britishers. They were taking a movement against the Britishers, but when they got arrested, the Indian peoples got very much angry with that. Many people, especially the Sikhs, including the women, men, and children, they were having a non-violence meeting in Jallianwala Bagh, but General Dyer at that time took this movement seriously, and he fired continuously for 10 minutes on these people were standing on the first entrance, because there is only one entrance and one exit in the same way. That's why many of the people died and many were got injured. This totally shaken the base of India. Okay, now we have Caliphate movement. Now it's no need to read too much of it. I'm just giving you the gist of that. Caliphate movement is the movement which is for the suppression of the British government who wanted to remove the Ottoman Emperor Abdul Hamid Ali from the chair of Caliph, and to protest against this movement was taken over. Okay, now see, and it took place during the World War One. Okay, now non-cooperation movement, that is started in 1920 to 1922. The non-cooperation movement was the first cooperation series movement of non-violence, that is by the help of the Mahatma Gandhi, and it continued to 1922. It was just lighted up, and it continued too much. Now see, these lines are very important. I have just underlined these parts. Okay, it's important. Now here what happened, all these things were going too fast, and Gandhiji doesn't want any violence. That's why this took place. And withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement took place when in 1922, when some of the Indian leaders set fire to a jail where many of the people died, and Gandhi didn't wanted that. This was known as Chauri Chaura movement. Okay, this was known as Chauri Chaura movement, and thus on 10th March 1922, Gandhiji was imprisoned for 6 years, and from then onward, this non-cooperation movement got stopped, and by this, the Hindu-Muslim also came closer to one another, and Swaraj Zindabad slogan became high-raised. Now, please do the question answers and read the chapter thoroughly. Okay, thank you.